Here's a hard pill to swallow. I haven't had a crash out moment in a minute. I'm gonna try not to crash the fuck out. I'm gonna be oh so honest with you. I don't give a fuck about what the streamers are doing. I don't give a fuck about what's happening with celebrities. I don't give a fuck who just dropped a new album. I don't give a fuck about the Super Bowl. I don't give a fuck about baddies. I don't give a fuck about none of that. There are people starving and dying in the streets. Fascism is on the rise and the rich are eating it up. We are having arguments when our U.S. military is now gonna be a combined force with another foreign military who is causing a genocide in another foreign country. Listen, we aren't mad enough, and it's starting to piss me off. 50-50 this video will get taken down, or they gonna nix a nigga. I really just don't give a fuck at this point, because the problem of the matter is, if you've sat down for 2 fucking years right now and you haven't said a motherfucking word, you don't give a fuck about your family, you don't give a fuck about your kids, and you don't give a good goddamn about your wife. Women's rights are being attacked. Trans people are being assaulted, being pushed out of the military, being pushed out of the workspace, being attacked every day online. Black people are being hung from trees on record. Right now, your life is meaningless to the upper echelons, and you want to sit down and argue with me about bullshit? You want to sit here and argue with me about shit, right? You want to sit here and try to act like this shit's just gonna stop one day. It's not. Everybody keeps relying on these midterms when there is a homeless crisis right now. There is a drug epidemic going on in the world. There are kids who don't know where their next meal is gonna come from. But you want to sit here and talk to me about a fucking sports team or a Super Bowl? Hey, I'm not a hypocrite. I did go watch the Knicks finals, the last 3 games of the season, because I needed a moment. That's fine. Here's the thing that we need to have a discussion about. It is okay for a day or 2 or a week to take a vacation, to have some solace and peace, to find some humanity within yourself. You can't always sit in this shit because you feel like you're screaming into the nether. We need to stop saying that. You're not screaming into the nether. You are arguing a fact. And if your friends and your family members are telling you, I don't like talking about politics, we're not talking about politics at this table. Yes, the we are. Yes, the we are. I said I wasn't gonna crash out. I lied.
I don't like talking about politics. I actually hate it. I grew up being told by everyone, don't talk politics, you don't talk about it. Y'all, think about why people told you that. To keep you compliant, to keep you quiet.
Right.
Funny thing is, I don't even feel like I talk about politics. I feel like I talk about morals and humanity and caring about human beings, none of which are political. Caring about other people is not political. You guys, I have worked in homeless shelters, domestic violence shelters, detox centers, psych wards with geriatric patients, adult patients, and even children. I have worked in the immigration process. I have had women seize in my arms after giving birth because they were having a psychotic episode. I've been in life-threatening situations with patients who were threatening me in my car. I had a woman lock me in a room and threaten to unalive me. I've worked with murderers who have just gotten out of prison. I have worked with sex offenders. I was lucky to be afforded those experiences. But you know what that did? It took the empathy I already had in my heart and pulled it throughout my entire body. I have empathy from my head down to my toes. So no, I can't just sit back and be silent. I feel like it's irresponsible. I feel like it's shitty, and I feel like it's dangerous. It is not who I am in my heart and soul to ignore the pain of other human beings just because I'm not in their position. Because I know that I, as a white woman, am very privileged. And if I don't use my privilege to stand up for them, I don't feel like I have the right to say that I'm a good person, to say I am a devout Christian. I don't. Because nothing that is happening right now that a majority of you are being silent about is what Jesus would do. So I understand if you do not like the content that I've been posting recently and will be posting more of because you deem it political, but I need you to understand it's not political. And if you think having morals and a heart and empathy and caring about other human beings is political, you have a very big problem. And you need to take it up with Jesus, not with me.
Big facts.
How do you lot feel about people that say that they don't do politics? Serious question. Like, how do you feel about that? Because I ain't gonna lie, back in the day, I used to be one of those people. I used to say, I'm not into politics. Do not ask me anything about politics. Do not question me on anything, because I'm not that knowledgeable on it. Which to this day, I'm not that knowledgeable, but I know the right party to vote for. You know, I have enough knowledge to know who to vote for and who's right for my peoples. But I find it very interesting for certain people to be saying, I don't do politics. I'm not into politics. That is such an ignorant mindset. And I had to snap out of that, because you're not into politics because what's going on doesn't affect you. So that's why you're not into politics. And I just find it quite selfish. Maybe I'm just like overreacting, and maybe some people might say to me, Tarek, it's actually not that serious. Maybe it's not. But to me, you have a chance. It's your constitutional right to vote And because you're saying, I don't do politics, you're privileged to say that. I believe people that say they don't do politics are privileged to say that. You don't have to know everything that goes on in the political world.
Correct.
You don't have to be that clued up, but you have to know at least what this party offers, what this party offers, what that part. You have to know the general things. And I know to vote fucking green. I know that much. I will say that proud with my chest. Ain't nobody telling me otherwise. But to come online and talk about you don't do politics, you're not interested in politics, you are a privilege to be saying that. And it's quite sad, because this is why the word influencer needs to be, how can I put this? Not everybody's an influencer like that. I'll be so real. Not everybody is an influencer like that. So I feel like when people say, I don't do politics, you are a privilege to say you don't do politics. Yeah, it's quite selfish.
Hey, you know the type of people that get on my nerves? The people that be like, I don't do politics.
Everything is politics.
Politics finna do you?
Facts.
You see them tags? You see how high that food is at the grocery store? But you don't do politics. And now why the food so high? Why is the All-Star at Waffle House $12? It used to be $9. Huh? Mm-hmm. But you don't do politics.
Right.
But now, because you don't do politics, I got to pay for $12 at the Waffle House for the All-Star.
Because you don't want to pay attention.
When it used to be $9.
Yeah.
You pissed me off.
Facts.
I don't do... Politics is doing you.
Literally. Everybody.
At your big old age, you talking about I don't do no politics. Oh, I don't know what's going on because I don't do...
This page isn't about politics. I don't talk about politics, but I will make a video every couple months talking about how I don't talk about politics or make a statement. This usually happens after a lot of people in my comments making presumptions about me. And instead of me coming out and immediately saying, no, I did not vote for him, I just say I don't talk about politics. And it makes me feel so much better because there's other people in my comments being like, that's why I follow you, because you don't talk about politics. And, you know, I know there's other creators
people telling
as well
on themselves
who get asked these questions. And they can easily say, no, I didn't vote for him. I voted for her.
Right.
They can easily say, yeah, no, I'm not MAGA. But see, I don't talk about politics, so I can't do that. It doesn't matter that everyone who did not vote for him automatically is like, oh, hell no, I did not vote for him. But I just say, I don't talk about politics, and you guys are all buying it. And it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter how I voted, because you just need to watch my videos and buy everything that I'm selling. Just forget the fact that I went and voted for a 34 convicted felon, adjudicated rapist, a man with multiple essay allegations against him, a fraud, a con man, a man whose entire campaign was filled with racism, misogyny, homophobia. I'll just forget that most of my audience is women, the gays, and theys, because that doesn't matter, because it shouldn't matter how I voted, because I don't talk about politics.
Right.
Even though now it's not just politics, it's about morals, but I know I have good morals because I just come on here and tell you I don't talk about politics. But let's just say that was the case. And I'm not saying everyone has to make a thesis or go deep in depth of how they voted.
Right.
But I do think it's strange that with everything that's happening, people still are on here trying to say I don't talk about politics. Because let's take everything, all the horrible things aside that he's done, and focus on one thing. Many of these people who are saying this are mothers. They have young children. This man's name was mentioned tens of thousands of times in the
Literally, more than...
Let's say, best case scenario being devil's advocate. Let's say he did nothing wrong. I personally don't believe that, but we're going to say he did nothing wrong.
Correct.
At the very least, this man is obstructing the release of these files every day to cover up for predators that prey on young boys
children.
and young girls.
Yep.
He is actively protecting the predators and not the victims. As I said, I do believe he did more than that. I'm just saying, devil's advocate here. So yes, that's why it matters.
When people say they don't talk politics, it's because, for the most part, right? When I would even put an age group on it, I would say 35 and up, right? When people say they don't talk politics, it's because they know they on some bullshit. They know they voted for some BS. They just can't admit it. Me, I have no problem with saying I didn't vote for Trump. I never voted for Trump. I never will vote for Trump. It don't matter what you tell me he can do for me. I will never vote for that man because of his moral compass, the kind of person he is, the lies he's told. Listen, you can't run and say, hold on, yeah, I'm gonna go full screen. You can't run on, I'm going to release the files. I'm going to release the files. The Democrats are not releasing the files. I got to release the files. We're going to release those files. I'm releasing the files. And then when you get the files, I'm not releasing the files. The files are a hoax. They're not the real thing. Release the damn files and let us decide. Then when you release the files, your name is blacked out of everything because your name is in the files more than the files named itself. Just saying. So it really like bothers me when people say I don't talk about politics because it don't affect you, right? And most of the time, honestly, this either comes from people that know they voted and effed up, right, and can't admit it, or people that don't have children. These are the top 2-tier people that say they don't talk about politics, right? Because it don't affect them. They don't have to think like that. It really, I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of those people, when you go on vacation or you do anything fun, I like to hear about that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of those people where I like to be happy for other people. You know what I'm saying? I like that you're happy about something. I like that. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear about your vacation. It's not bragging. I really want to know how much you enjoyed your vacation, what you did, this and that and the third. I don't care how much money you spent. I don't care. I just like to be happy for other people's happiness. That's me. There are a subsection of people that do not care about anything else except their happiness. And that's why I was getting to the point of, it bothers me when you have people that don't ever say nothing about nothing that's going on. This don't bother you at all? None of it. But then when we talk in person, you tell me, oh, you don't get down like that. You don't rock with that dude and this and that and the third, but you never say nothing out loud. You want to tell me in secret that you down for the cause, but you can't verbally say it out loud. Why is that? It might affect your money. It might affect your livelihood. I don't know what to tell y'all, but if you can't tell by now, I'm not a person who cares about money over my morals and principles. I was raised with morals and principles. First, protect women and children. Always tell the truth. Y'all sitting here pretending like this ain't effed up. Like the guy said in the first part of the video. How are y'all sitting here pretending like we all can see the gas prices are crazy? These are higher than COVID level gas prices right now. COVID lockdown gas prices. Our grocery, bro, a can of beans from Aldi's, a can of baked beans from Aldi's. I love baked beans. A can of baked beans from Aldi's now is $1.50. They used to be 50 cents, bro. Oh, I don't talk about politics. You don't talk about stuff that make you uncomfortable because you can't explain your position. I don't mind talking politics, right? And let's be clear. You don't have to have a degree to talk politics. Everything in America is political. Wake up. Our country is being ran by rich oligarch billionaires, bro. Everything is political. Your gas is political. Your healthcare premiums are political. Groceries are political. Housing is political. Your rent is political. What are we talking about here? I have no respect for people that just put the blinders up and pretend like nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. You don't got no kids. You don't have to think for the future. That's why. You only got to think for you. As long as you can take care of yourself, you're fine. I don't really care what's going on. Bro, I care about what's happening to you as well as me. That's why politics matter. I don't talk. I just had an experience, right? I just had an experience 2 days ago with one of my clients. And he goes and brings up, right? And I know, like I said, I know he's kind of right leaning, but whatever, right? Boomer, you know what I'm saying? Boomer. He goes and he says, we shouldn't have trans in sports. I'm like, huh? Mind you, right? I just seen an article about the dude, Royce, you know, the failed NBA dude whose career flopped because his punk ass couldn't get on a plane, right? Saying that him and Enes Kanter are declaring for the WNBA draft. Now, I seen that like 3 days ago before he said this shit this morning. So I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, and I know he's a, the dude Royce, he's a far right commentator, right? A black guy, but he's on the far right. So I already know where this is coming from. All right, before he even gets, I'm like, huh? He's like, we shouldn't have trans in sports. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? He was like, we shouldn't have trans in sports. He said it 3 times without explaining himself. He just said it didn't cite the source or the direction he wanted to go in with it. He's like, we shouldn't have trans in sports. I'm like, he said, do you agree? I'm like, what are you talking about? You got to give me context. I'm not just gonna agree with anything. You got to tell me the context. You got to cite your source. What are you talking about? So he was like, they're trying to put trans in sports and women's sports, and they're, I'm like, where? I'm legit confused, but I know it has something to do with this Royce guy, right? So I'm like, I know what he's leaning to, but he doesn't know I know that. I want him to say it so I can then confirm what I do know and then take off on it. So he's like, there's this NBA guy, he's this NBA guy, he said he's going to declare for the WNBA draft, and I start dying laughing. I said, yo. I said, all right, man. I said that's impossible. He was like, no, it's not. He's declaring. I said he can declare all he wants. It does not mean it's going to happen. And he's a far right comment. Well, what do you think about Riley Gaines? So when he said the Riley Gaines thing, she lost because and I said, yeah, they both came in 5th place and they gave the trophy to whomever. It didn't matter. It wasn't like it was a state qualifier that would declare who goes to the Olympics. It was a regular race, and it happened 4.5 years ago. Why are you talking about this now? But this is Riley Gaines is a name that the right brings up every time an election is to be had, because they repeat the same shit. They repeat the same shit. So I said, bro, what does that have to do with anything? We shouldn't have men and women sport. He keeps going back to this shit, and it's getting annoying now. I'm like, so you why are you bringing up the Riley Gaines thing? That's like 5 years old right now. Like literally, I think it was like 2021, 2022 or something like that when that happened. Right? I'm exaggerating on the years, but whatever, it's old. She's and quote unquote, I already know that Riley Gaines is a far right commentator as well. You see how all this shit is connected for people that say I don't do politics, okay? It's connected. But again, people like him assume people like me just don't know. I already knew where he was going when he first said the first thing. I just wanted him to explain it. So he says, hey, Riley Gaines, she lost it. So I just burst out laughing. All right. I said, all right, man, look. And I said, he said, I said, do you even know about, the whole Riley Gaines situation? He's like, yeah, I know it. I said, why does it exist? You said, I don't know. I said, because of Trump. He said, oh, don't go bringing Trump. See, that lets me know you're a Trump defender now. See? You see don't go bringing Trump. He has nothing to do with this. Trump has everything to do with it. This whole Riley Gaines thing became a thing because Trump ran on that. He used it as one of his catalyst points to help him get back in office. Like he used the Epstein file thing as a catalyst point to help him get back in office. The same thing, right? So he says, it has nothing to do. I said, it has everything to do with this whole thing. Only comes around every time an election cycle is coming up. I said, he can try to declare for the WNBA draft all he wants. It does not matter. He's not playing in the WNBA. He can play. No, he cannot, Jeff. I'm not about to do this with you, bro. Tell me, outside of that happening, when has it happened again? When has a transgender athlete taken the place of a biological female in pro sports? I'll wait. On American soil, I'll wait. They can pass all the laws in the world to allow it. It's not going to happen. You see how they blackballed Michael Sam out of the NFL, and he was decent. But he was a fully gay man. Regardless of what laws are passed, there's still a code certain people, there's an unwritten rule and code people abide by. That's why he got pushed out of the NFL. It wasn't because he wasn't talented. It's because his lifestyle nature, quote unquote, and I'm saying this as a former football player, would obstruct the dynamic of the locker room. So it's not a rule saying he can't be there, but it's an unwritten rule. So he's doing, the guy Royce is doing this shit to make noise, to stir up conversation, to help galvanize people behind voting for him. But people like you can't see that. You know, the same people that I don't do politics, but you're literally doing politics daily. Your whole life is politics. Everything is politics. You don't need to have a degree to talk politics. And I'm not saying to sit down and talk politics, because it goes nowhere when you're talking da-da-da-da. My job is to correct you when you're incorrect. You tried to lead that conversation like there's just a mass flow of transgenders wanting to take over biological women's sports. It's not true. It's not true. It's far-right fear-mongering. Only stuff you hear on Fox News. Literally. That's the only place that have covered the junk. They are the junk source for news. Fear-monger leaders. And you guys still get your asses on there. Instead of stepping out in the real world. I said, Jep, J-E-P. Right? I ain't gonna say his full. And I said, Jeff, how does this affect you? He's like, what do you mean? I said, even if so, how does transgenders playing in sports affect you? You're a 75-year-old white male who doesn't have kids. How does this affect you? You don't have a wife. You don't have kids. How does this affect you? Me, I have the luxury of not having to care about that. I have 2 boys. I don't have to worry about, I don't have a daughter. So I don't even think like, oh man, I need to be concerned with that. Okay, at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. So if you don't have kids, you don't have a spouse, you don't have a niece or nephews that are competing in these said sports, why does it bother you? Because these people live their lives relishing in the same politics that they tell you not to engage in. That's why it matters. That's why these conversations matter. That's why it bothers me when people pretend and don't like to speak up when the world is going to shit right now. Y'all are some cowards, bro. Flat out. You are a coward. You are a coward. I understand if you don't want to exalt your time on things that you feel like you don't have control over. I can respect that. I can respect it. I'm telling you, I can respect that. But what I can't respect is you knowing shit is effed up and you won't say nothing. You think showing up to the voting booth in November is enough? It's not enough. It's not enough. You telling me the kind of person you are, the kind of backbone you have. I've been frontline for every cause in my whole life. Everything I say on this YouTube channel, I stand on. I'm not gonna be a poetic Flacco where you're gonna go back and catch videos where I said otherwise and I'm completely flip-flopping. I'm one way. I'm pro-black. I love all people. I wish happiness on everybody, even people that don't like me. I don't want nobody to live a miserable life. I want everybody to at least be able to afford the basic necessities. I think women feminine hygiene products should be free. I don't think police officers that are not from the community should be policing those communities. You see how that's politics, but y'all will say it's not. I don't think daycare should cost twice as much as most people's mortgages do. We're using gas from other countries instead of using our own to drop the prices. They've been using that excuse to use up everybody else's reserves for decades. This world is huge. Where we can, by the time we use up all the fuel here, my great-great-great-great-grandchildren would be affected by that. It's no excuse. It's all capitalism. How are the leaders of the country billionaires, but everybody else is down fighting for scraps? We pay taxes, but they don't. But they make billions. How does this make sense? I don't do politics. Politics doing you. Politics doing you good, too. I don't do politics. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You just a coward. You a coward. You have no backbone, and you're the reason why everything is going to shit. Because you're a coward. And if you're not a coward, you're somebody that allows cowards to take advantage of minors. You want to, and that's another thing, right? Before I end this video, I said, it's funny how you got energy and time to talk about that, but you don't want to address all of, the CP and child abuse and all that other stuff. You want to talk about a transgender in the sport. You know what I'm saying? You want to make everybody look this way when this problem's going on. Oh, we're not going on. We're definitely going there. You open the door. You open the door. Everything is politics. Everything is political. Wake up. Nobody's saying you got to get on the pulpit podium and speak about policies. Policies ain't that hard. People sit there and try to act like you got to know that. Our job ain't to know the intricacies and every single detail of each policy. That's what our representatives are for. That's what our Congress members are for. And we vote those people in from our districts to go in on our better to go in on our better behalf and vote for our likeliness. That is the point. But you got dummies out here voting against their own interests, voting all these farmers out there in Nebraska that voted to cut their own, to have their own migrant workers gone. Now we're losing money. You voted for that, you dummy. You voted for it. This is the first time in American history where the American people are actually dealing with the repercussions of voting irresponsibly. This is the first time. In this video, again, it's not political, but it still has to do with politics. I'm not talking individual well, I just did. You see what I'm saying? You see how you can't disconnect the two. Everything is connected. You can't. You have to. If you are a morally conscious, aware adult, you have to. Because I'm going to tell you like this. My first eye-opening situation that happened to me, somebody told me this right after, because I used to be the same person. Man, I ain't talking about that shit. When Trump got in, I didn't think he was going to get voted in. I laughed at the shit. I'm like, man, he ain't getting fuck out of here. Next day, he on the TV. 2016, I'm like, yo, he's really voting this motherfucker in his office, bro. I couldn't get over it. Whatever. Fast forward 2 years later, I had some crazy racist happen to the youth football team I was coaching. Crazy. We went out West Bubba's and we played against an all-white team. They called back 7 touchdowns out of our 9. And we won by 1 touchdown. They only scored twice and they walked them to the end zone. Somebody told me, you either F with politics or politics gonna F with you. It's one or the other. Ayo Bassel TV. Like, comment, share. I'm gonna see y'all on the next one, man. Peace.